For years on end, it has been said that the AL East is one of the hardest divisions to play in, and we've seen players leave the AL East just because of that, and we've seen players come in because they want the challenge. Welcome back to Clemox. I'm Gillis TV, and if you're new to the channel and like anything related to the MLB, this is the channel for you, and make sure you hit that subscribe button as we are on our way to our goal of 5,000. Now today, not really news, but a lot of controversy has been kind of said over the last couple days of how hard is the AL East. And it's pretty hard. You look back a few years ago, the Toronto Blue Jays has 90 plus wins and still don't make the playoffs. But a team that has 78 that year makes the playoffs, because that's just how the playoff format goes. And the AL East, it is hard to play in. And year on end, a lot of people have said, even players have said, the AL East is hardest division to play in. One of them, of course, the other one being the Dodgers, Padres, and all those guys. So, let's get into this video today. And we're going to predict, kind of based on how the offseason's gone for teams in the AL East, who's going to actually step up. And, of course, we're going to throw some injury news into there and why that might make them lower than what you guys think. But easiest is here at number 5. They had a really good season last year. I believe they went 500, and that was the Baltimore Orioles. They played phenomenal, had great pitching down the stretch, but they did lose Jordan Lyles this year and Jesus Aguilar to Oakland, but have brought in Kyle Gibson, Adam Frazier, and Michael Givens to kind of fill out their roster. They are a young team. They're going to have some struggles. They will get to where they need to be in the next few years. I just don't think this is a year, just because of what other teams did. Now, can they surprise me? Yeah, this is just my predictions. They could surprise us for as long as they want. But like I said, they lost Jordan Lyles to Kansas City for 2 years at $17 million. Brought in Kyle Gibson with some experience to help the younger guys for a year, coming off of Philly where he just went to the World Series and ultimately lost. I just don't think they did enough this offseason to kind of get out of the basement in the AL East, but like I said, they could surprise me a lot. Now at number 4, it is a toss-up, and it's not a toss-up because the teams suck, it's how hard the AL East really is, because at number 5, Baltimore could still be a 500 team, like they were last year and finished 5th or 4th. It's just how hard the AL East is. At number 4, we are going to stick with the Boston Red Sox. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flashback, well, who's the other team? It was with the Tampa Bay Rays. But it's the fact that Xander Bogaerts left, JD Martinez, a lot of the core guys left this offseason. And with the injury to Trevor Story, how's that going to affect? They did make some good signings, don't get me wrong. They did, but are these signings good enough? So like I said, their 2 biggest free agents this year were Xander Bogaerts and Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi ultimately left for Texas to be with the Rangers for 2 years at $17 million a year. And of course, Bogaerts went to San Diego on that huge 11-year deal worth $280 million. Now, Kenley Jansen was signed. Pretty good signing. Same with Justin Turner. Fills up that, third base. And third base. Could play shortstop for Bogaerts and Justin Turner. They did lose Matthew Strom to the Phillies. They did bring Chris Martin in. But they did lose JD Martinez, like I said, to the LA Dodgers and whatnot. They did bring in Corey Kluber for 1 year at $10 million. And, of course, Adam Duvall to fill out the outfield at $1 million or $7 million for 1 year. But they did lose guys like Tommy Pham as well. They lost Familia. They lost Eric Hosmer. Michael Wacha is said to be going to San Diego anytime here. They did go out get former Blue Jay Ramel Tapia, who had that infamous Grand Slam in the park home run against the Red Sox there. And they did get a couple guys on minor league deals they hope will come in and do what they need to do. But losing Bogarts, Nathan Eovaldi, Michael Wacha, who was stellar when healthy, JD Martinez, the core group, it is a different looking team, and we'll see what happens. Of course, the injuries to Trevor Story as well, we'll see how that affects the Boston Red Sox. So, no hate on the Boston Red Sox, but just the fact of that injury, losing their core guys, new guys coming in, it does take some time for the new guys to settle in with a new organization. It always has been. So I'm not bashing them because it's the AL East we're talking about. They could have 75 wins this year. They could have 90 wins and still not make it. We've seen that in the AL East where a lot of players are pushing for a different playoff format because it's not fair to these teams that get 85, 90 wins and still don't make the playoffs, right? So, at number 3, of course, I just said them, the Tampa Bay Rays. They didn't do much this offseason, of course, losing Corey Kluber to the Boston Red Sox, Kevin Kiermaier to the Toronto Blue Jays, David Peralta went to the Dodgers, Mike Zunino went to Cleveland, Ryan Yarbrough to KC, Nick Anderson to Atlanta. They lost a lot of core pieces, and that's why it was a toss-up between them and the Boston Red Sox. But most of their core is still intact in Tampa. And of course, they went out and got Zach Eflin from the Phillies last year on a 3-year deal worth $40 million. That will shore up their starting pitching for sure. And that's one of the reasons I put Boston kind of lower, is the starting rotation is going to be really different. And are you going to get a healthy Chris Sale, or are you going to get an injury Chris Sale, losing Nathan Eovaldi, Michael Wacha as well? Of course, you got your other players, but again, I am going to put Tampa Bay ahead of you due to the fact that they kind of have their core intact and they still have that starting rotation that was lethal for years on end. Now, we're going to stop here for a minute and look at the AL East standings last year, where the Red Sox were 78 and 84, the Orioles were 83 and 79, the Rays were 86 and 76, the Jays were 92 and 70, and the Yankees were 99 and 63. So 4 out of the 5 teams were above 500, and only 2, I believe 2 of them made it. Let's just go check here. Actually, 3 of them did make it. Rays did sneak in there. But at the same time, we are thinking about what about now and stuff. And, the Yankees did have a really good season last year, so we're going to go to the Yankees at number 2. The reason I'm going to get bashed for this, I know I am. The reason I'm putting Yankees at number 2, and it is another toss-up between the Jays, is the Jays have had the Yankees number in recent years, but last year Yankees had the Jays number. Also, the historic run of Aaron Judge. That is remarkable what he did. All praise to Aaron Judge on this, but I don't think he's going to be that 60-some home run guy again. He is going to be a high 30s and mid 40s type of home run player for the Yankees again, but I don't think he's going to have that historic season again. And for Aaron Judge, he was the reason the Yankees won a lot of games last year, was that historic season. And I'm not bashing Aaron Judge here. I just don't think he's going to have a better historic season. He could have the same. It's a possibility knowing what he can do. But at the same time, will it downgrade, injuries, blah, 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 could affect this team. We already know, if you haven't seen my latest video, Frankie Montes is out for most, if not all, his season. That is a huge blow to the rotation as well. They did get Carlos Rendon this season, having that 1-2 punch with Garrett Cole. And then, of course, Luis Severino, if he could stay healthy, is the third guy. But you look at the Toronto Blue Jays of Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Chris Brissett, Alek Manoah. The Jays only are looking for a 5th starter, if they don't have it yet, where a lot of these other teams are going for, trying to figure out injury stuff right now. So it puts the Jays in a better position. Of course, like I said, this is just my predictions. But the Yankees did go out and spend some money on Aaron Judge, Carlos Rendon, 6 years, $162 million. So they got a good team for years to come on in. One name that pops out is they lost Jameson Taillon to the Chicago Cubs. They lost Andrew Benintendi to the Chicago White Sox. They did re-up with a qualifying offer to Anthony Rizzo on a 2-year, $40 million. They lost Matt Carpenter. They brought Tommy Canale back, but also lost Chad Green to the Toronto Blue Jays, Aroldis Chapman to the Kansas City Royals, and Miguel Castro to the Arizona. Of course, made some minor league signings as well, but injuries, they didn't do much. They lost a lot of players. It is going to be really good to see, and I'm not bashing the Yankees here. Yankees will be up there in wins. They're still a good team, but I don't believe they did enough with the injuries they have right now that they can actually, it's going to be a toss-up between the Blue Jays and the Yankees for sure. Now at number 1, we got the Toronto Blue Jays, of course, and I might be a little bit biased being a Blue Jays fan, but what they added versus what they lost in this offseason, the trade of Teoscar Hernandez for Eric Swanson. You traded Lourdes Gurriel and Gabriel Moreno for Varsho, who is a lefty bat that could put up better numbers than Lourdes Gurriel could in the batter's box. He's a bit of a lower end offensive guy. And of course, you brought in Kevin Kiermaier to replace George Springer, move George Springer to Teoscar Hernandez. So the batting average is still going to be there between those two guys and the two guys that went out. But Eric Swanson's going to fill in this Toronto Blue Jays bullpen better. You got the likes of Adam Simber, Tim Meza, Jordan Romano, Eric Swanson. You got these guys that are going to be these type of guys to help. Now, of course, the starting rotation, you got your top 4 of Alek Manoah, Chris Bassett, Kevin Gausman, and Jose Barrios. If Barrios can have a bounce-back season, those 4 are going to be lethal. And I made a video talking about the 5th starter. You know what? There's a possibility the Jays go 4-man rotation and just play those 4. That is a really good possibility with Ryu on the injured reserve till at least June, July. He could potentially come back as the lefty. So you look at those trades plus Chris Bassett of a 3-year, $63 million deal. Yes, you lost Ross Stripling, but you made that back in a better Chris Bassett. You brought in Brandon Belt on a 1-year deal and Kevin Kiermaier on a 1-year deal to help with the outfielders in Kevin Kiermaier becoming more defensive. And Brandon Belt gives you that versatility infielder who can play first, third, gives you that lefty bat. And who can forget, you went out and got Chad Green, who could potentially be one of the closers as well with Jordan Romano. So you think Tim Meza, Swanson, Simber, Romano, and Green, that is a scary bullpen for the last 3 innings of a game, and you can mix and match those all you want. Of course, you got Luke Bard on a minor league deal, Paul Fry on a minor league deal. Drew Hutchison is back with the Blue Jays on a minor league deal and whatnot. You did lose Ramel Tapia, which kind of sucks. I would have preferred Ramel Tapia over, a couple guys, but hey, that is what it is. But I believe the Blue Jays did make significant progress, and I'm not bashing any of these teams. The AL East could have 5 teams over 500. Just how badly do these teams want it? That is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll catch you on the next one.